Today I'm going to show you how to fit a mock-up. This is a mock-up I used for a project I'm currently working on. For purposes of demonstration, I'm going to fit it to this lovely lady here. First thing to do is pin closed your mock-up and try to pin it on the line that your edge is supposed to be, even if it seems a little bit large. Because if I were to take in all of this extra space just from the front, look how close my darts get, which I don't want. So we're going to take it out of a few other places, but first we gotta close her up in the front to make sure that it's all ready to go. It's super important, if you can help it, to have someone else fit you if you can. Even if you have to tell them what to do if they don't know how to fit things, you can say, oh, see this little bit over here, can you just put a few pins in there? And that can be really helpful, especially for fitting the backs of things, because that's really hard to do by yourself. Hence why I'm using a mannequin for this. So the first thing I'm seeing is that it's quite large. So my first go-to when I'm taking something in is usually to do it from the sides. You can also come back later and see, okay, I need to take in this much and shave off a fraction of that from each piece if you want. But for now, I think I'm just going to take it in on the sides because it's quite big for this lady. It's helpful to work from both sides at the same time. That way you won't end up with it being totally uneven on one side from the other. And then you'll be able to take your markings off of this for your pattern without having to do a whole lot of math. I don't know about you, but I don't like doing a lot of math. So as you can see, I'm just pinching out how much extra I have and just putting a pin right through it. If you're doing this on a real person, I highly recommend safety pins, unless you really trust whoever's pinning you in, because pins are very pointy, as I'm sure you know. Alright. Just about there. Taking it in. So, see just already how much of a difference that's starting to make. If we look at the back, see how wrinkly this is? This probably means that the bodice is a bit too long for how long the torso of the mannequin is. So the way you can fix this for your mock-up is kind of pinch out until it's smooth. See how much smoother that looks? Just pin that out, and we're going to mark this on our paper pattern later. That's looking a lot better. So I'm just going to do that little bit all the way around, unless I think it's looking better in the front. Let's see. No, I'm definitely seeing some wrinkling, but see how much that smooths out? That's going to help so much. So let's stick a few pins in there. Now, for something like this, at this point you don't necessarily have to pin both sides. You can copy the measurements off of this for the other side. But if you like super want to double check, you can pin all the way around. All right, that's looking a lot nicer. I think I will take a little bit out of the center front. Not much, but I think that's just going to help it snug up a little and help the darts sit a little closer to where I think they should. That's looking a lot better. Just look at the difference between this side and this side we haven't done much with. Let's see. Looks like we might get this little bit of wrinkle out if we take a bit out of the shoulder seam. This is often the cause of all kinds of wrinkles around your arms and such. Might mean that your shoulder piece is too long, so you can just take a little bit out. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Now, another thing you're going to want to check while you're doing your fitting is if you like where the neckline is sitting and where the hem is. To me, this looks a little bit long, so I think I'm going to pin up the bottom edge to where I would like it to be. That's looking a little more reasonable. So I'm going to put some pins through it to keep that edge where I want it. And then I can mark that on my pattern later. Now the back point on this I think looks alright, but I'm just going to pin up my 1/2 inch seam allowance just to check and see if I like it. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now this also doesn't have any boning in it, so if I were to make this out of a real fabric, putting a couple of bones would definitely help smooth it out quite a lot. But look how nice and smooth we've got her. And once we take these alterations out, like there won't be a seam here on my final pattern. This is just to help me see how much I need to shorten my bodice by. And see how wrinkly and long this is. So as a general rule of thumb, when you're fitting, anywhere you see wrinkles that you don't want, you just want to kind of fold and pinch it until things smooth out, and then you can see where you need to make adjustments. It's also good to make sure you check, like if you're wearing a corset or a chemise underneath, that nothing you don't want to see from underneath shows through. You might need to raise or lower things. If you have something with sleeves and you want to be able to move your arms all the way, make sure you check if you can lift your arms, because if you can't, you might need to like raise your arm's eye a bit or put a gusset into the sleeve, something to help with mobility. It's also good to sit down. You know, I think if you were trying to sit down here, you'd stab yourself in the leg trying to sit down with a pointy bodice on this, so you might need to check, you know, comfort moving around, You can also try playing around with trims and things if you're, debating what kind of fabric or trim you want. You can drape it on yourself while you're dressed up in your mock-up and see what you think, if that'll help you make any decisions. Let me know if you found this helpful. I hope you did. And let me know if there's any other tutorials or advice or anything you think you'd like to hear from me.